everybody. Welcome back to Modern Class and Chaos with Debora Utley. It's Monday, and so I just wanted to come back and share a little bit with you about what is going on in life today. I know that I promised that today's episode would be a continuation of my childhood journey, but there's something else that's a little higher on my mind and in my heart that I wanted to share with you a little bit. First, today is our first day back at school with kids literally in higher numbers in the building. And my heart is just bursting with joy of having noise in the room again, and that teenage energy just bustling in the room, and sitting at our table together and being back in their community and back in their home. And it was so amazing and so heartbreaking at the same time, in that I still had in my first class today, which is our vocal jazz ensembles. I've got 26 students in that class, and they're divided into two different ensembles, an advanced vocal jazz and a beginning vocal jazz. And we added vocal jazz to the curriculum. This is the fourth year that it actually is during the school day. For 10 years of my time here, it was just an extracurricular 1 day a week for an hour. And we built a really great program that way, but I just wanted to advance that ensemble. I love vocal jazz, and my kids loved it, and I wanted it to get better. And I'm like, wow, if we've got the room when we renovated our program 4 years ago, let's get it in the school day. So it's such a beautiful thing. And so now, instead of just one ensemble, we've had two for the last 4 years. And I love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. So we had about 20 of the 26 students, maybe 19, actually here today singing live with masks on, of course. And I had a mask on, but oh my God, they sound great even with their masks on. But then I had about 7 kids that I had to also take care of on the computer that were staying home. And it just, I have a feeling, I know how I would have felt. I'm sure that they were feeling out of the loop a little bit, like they were left out. They weren't a part of it. And it's heartbreaking. Now, maybe I'm speculating. Maybe they're like, no, this is fine. This is what we're choosing. But even if it's what they're choosing, I know, COVID or not, they would love to be here at school and singing and making music with their colleagues and their peers and their friends and sitting around their table. And I got them a new lunch table. I got a big round table instead of, we had just a really old, like, rectangular table. It only sat like 4 really comfortably, and there were bars everywhere. And so I'm like, no, we're getting a new table. I want you to really, I wanted it to make our room even more special for them. And I should have got balloons. Dang it, I forgot that. But it was so joyous and so heartbreaking at the same time. But we've got 8 weeks to go. We've got one more concert to go, and I'm actually planning an in-person concert for the first time since our last big concert here at school, which was December of 2019. We're going to have an in-person graduation, and we're going to perform at graduation. So it felt so normal today for a minute. And I was actually able to correct sound today, to talk about things that I haven't been able to talk about for a year. Vowel shape and placement, but I will say this, they sounded so great. And I've kind of just written off this year. This is going to make me sound terrible as an educator, but we're not advancing this year, right? Our development is going to be significantly stunted from what it normally is when we're live and we're training in the right way. But I gotta be honest, it at least sounded like we didn't miss a beat. Like it at least sounded like what it sounded like when we were last here. And so that was just did my heart good, right? I'm sure most of you educators out there, my response to everybody with, the how are you question is, I'm surviving, not thriving. And I know that that's how I've been as an educator this year. I'm surviving the year, but I know I'm not my best self. I know I'm not the greatest teacher in the plan, in the world, and I'm doing my best. I'm trying really hard, but my focal point has shifted from, being a choir director, technique, and phrasing, and let's talk about your vowel shapes, and let's talk about your placement, and to being a teacher of the spirit, right? And just trying to be a positive, bright spot in the kids' day, just trying to give them a little joy and sunshine, and catering more to their soul than to their vocal training. I won't apologize for that either. You know what I mean? This year, that was the focus that I chose, and that was the kind of teacher I chose to be as a COVID educator. You know what? Hey, this ultimately doesn't matter. What really matters is that I am continuing to buoy their spirits, to give them some joy, to tell stupid stories and stupid jokes, and make them laugh and make somebody smile. And I'm not going to say I was completely successful at that either, but that was more of my focus instead of being the perfect choir director. Anyway, I remembered why I became a teacher today, and so it's just been a fabulous day so far. The conversation that I wanted to start with you today is something that I heard about just a couple weeks ago, and it landed with me fairly. It was a hard landing. And I went, oh, crap. I think I do this. I think this is a part of my psyche. And the term is survivor bias or survivorship bias. I'm going to let that sink in for just a minute. And what it is for people that have survived some sort of trauma. And my husband and I were just talking about it yesterday because I had mentioned it to him, and I'm like, we were talking about, my husband and I always say, thank God we found each other, because we really see the world in exactly the same way. We have the same philosophies. We have as educators and coaches, and we have the same philosophy as humans. I will say this too, we have the same biases. We have the same cultural upbringing. My husband didn't really have a traumatic childhood in the way I did. He had actually quite a very idyllic childhood, but my husband's had his own things to overcome and his own tragedies. I mentioned to you, he lost his mother when he was, only 22 years old. And in the final days of her life was really a primary caretaker, and had to see, parts of his mother, no pun intended, that no child should really ever have to see or witness. And so, but anyway, we see the world the same way. And I said it to him because we were talking about, something very specific, in my life and in my childhood, and how I I can almost have a superiority in regards to trauma. Like, hey, this might have happened to you, but this is what happened to me. And unless you have survived sexual trauma at my level, you haven't survived sexual trauma. And so I honestly, I feel ugly saying it, but it's my truth. I felt that, like, and then I heard this term, survivor bias or survivorship bias, where people that survive really traumatic experiences almost lose their compassion for those who maybe have a lower degree of trauma. And that really hit me sideways, because is true of me. And now, obviously, since that's been kind of brought to my psyche, I want to change that. And I don't want to be that way anymore. I need to broaden my compassion. I don't know if that's the right way to say it. I don't know if that's even the right term, but I need to be very careful with my bias and judgment of degree of trauma. And I do think that there are degrees of trauma. I do think there's, like, you know, like we were talking about crime. There's different degrees, right? And that's why our justice system, broken as it is, it's not why there's just not one punishment for every crime, right? Because there are degrees. There are levels of crime. There's levels of damage. But I've noticed it. And again, this format, this video series, this video diary is again for me to just have a place to talk things through and to process. And I'm sure many of you may be like this. I talk to myself a lot, but it's more helpful to me for some reason, this video format, and to be able to watch things back and hear myself say things instead of just hear it in my head the one time that I say it in the bathroom when I'm getting ready, and and talking things out loud, talking things through with myself. This gives me that platform, and then sharing it with you is hopefully to again, this might ring with you, and I may be the only place that you ever hear this term, and it may help you put yourself out into the world a little bit differently. I've seen this bias in myself as an educator, and I have been a fairly, hey, rub some dirt on it, you're okay, you're fine. Hey, you'll survive that. Hey, this happened, that's not that traumatic. Wait, listen to what happened to me. If I was able to get through that, you can get through this minor degree of trauma. I don't want to be that kind of educator anymore. I don't think that that's a great way to see the world. I've always been grateful for my trauma. I know that sounds weird, and I'm not really grateful for it, but my gratitude surrounding my current life is boundless. And I'm not sure if I would be in this current place in life if I didn't have that trauma, or if I didn't have those experiences. So I'm grateful for my trauma. I'm grateful for my experience. But I'm grateful I survived, right? And my life could have really gone a very different way if I had made some different choices, if I had not had certain people in my life and guiding me in some of those important times. But trauma is trauma, and it hits us all differently. And so for me to think that I'm an expert on trauma because I had trauma, and I had significant trauma, that I think that makes me some sort of expert to now judge trauma degrees and dictate that your trauma was minor, so your response should be minor. I don't think that's acceptable. And I am gonna work on changing that mindset and not allowing myself to minimize somebody else's trauma, which I have done many times. And if I've done that to anybody who hears this, please know my sincerest apologies go to you. I knew not what I did. And now that I know, when you know better, you do better, right? That's a phrase that's I've heard a lot as well lately. So just a second. I just had a pause because one of my sweet students just came to my office. It was the greatest. Anyway, I hope that this term lands with you and doesn't cause you any pain, but maybe makes you think about your own traumas, because we've all had them, right? Every human's had it in some degree. And I hope that this term helps you to maybe come to terms with your own survivorship biases, or to maybe forgive somebody who maybe didn't treat you as kindly as they should have because of their own survivorship biases. I just want to say thanks for being with me today. Thanks for listening. Thanks for coming to Modern Class and Chaos. And I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your Monday and have a great week. And join me on Instagram and Facebook and even TikTok and at Debora S. Utley. And I can't wait to share more with you next time. Have a really great week. Thanks for being with me. All my love. Bye-bye.